take roll call?
Certainly. Mark Miller,
Present.
Chris Carlson,
Here.
and Paula Crook. Present, we're all here.
I'd like to make a motion to approve last month's minutes.
Motion.
Second.
In favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Chris, can you go over the expenditures?
I can. We started the month with $797,843.24. We received receipts of $92.17. We had total disbursements of $113,166.66. So our ending balance for the end of the month was $684,768. Our expenditures for the month, again, we're finishing up road projects. So a lot of these, we had a lot of big payouts to subcontractors working on different projects in the township. Nothing was out of the ordinary from what we had already anticipated. Motion to approve the budget.
Motion.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Chris, road assessors report, please.
All right. So projects are being finished up in the township. We have finished up Crest and Richfield with the exception of doing some shoulder work to protect the shoulders. We did the repair over on Pawnee Street in where the pothole was beginning. Going forward, we've been asked to do several different projects that may work into this month's budget. I haven't assessed all the projects that we can do yet for the second half of the year, but the city and the county have brought the 24th Street access back up. About creating an emergency access between the neighborhood at the end of 24th and the cul-de-sac. Currently, the MOU, which is Memorandum of Understanding, is being reviewed by Mark Miller, and he will be issuing a response to the city and the county in the next day or two. We had a development on 159th Street, a piece of property at 159th Street in Pawnee, which was hit by the tornado 2 years ago. Seems that there's a contractor in there trying to clean it out, and they seem to have drug a train car out to the ditch. I don't know if they thought they could load it and remove it in one piece, but they have since pulled it back but left trash in our ditch. I have told the Minnehaha employees not to mess with it, and until that homeowner is done and let them clean up the ditch first. So, but that's going to be an ongoing thing, I think, for a couple months. I was approached by the city today. They are going to relocate Red Bud Path, which is a walking trail that runs down 96 for the widening of 96. So they're going to come to our meeting on September 9th with the expectation of us as Minnehaha Township signing off on the paperwork needed to allow the expansion of the road and relocation of the path. I've been getting several calls about the ditches being cleaned out in Sunswept Highlands. I would expect our employees, when they're talking or anybody else, we will clean them as we can. It does depend on utilities. We've determined that the utility companies have buried a lot of their stuff in the ditch, and there's no way we can dig it out and clean it without either relocating utilities or breaking them. So as we can do it, we'll clean things out. But if we find utilities in there, Minnehaha is not taking part in utility relocation. So. It's also been brought to my attention that North Point, up on 13th, they have an entryway that has an island. They would like that island removed, so they have a wider opening. They asked what it would take to do it. I informed them they needed to cap the water supply for irrigation that's in there, and there's a power meter in there, and it's up to them to have Evergy move the meter, and then we would go in and do it. I've already reached out to 2 different contractors about removing that island and what it would cost once those 2 items are done. And then last, I've been asked in St. Andrews, The streets to the west, when you go in St. Andrews entrance, there's a bunch of potholes showing up. So I need to go out with a team and find out what the damage is and get some estimates on how to fix those, which I think we can probably get done this year. So for the road report, that is all I have.
Sweet. As everybody knows, last month, Minnehaha Township had the budget with the county. So we are going to go over the budget. Chris, if you could start us off, and we'll make a motion once we get done talking about it.
Okay, so good news with the budget. We are not raising taxes. We hit our revenue neutral rate for the year, so we can operate on the same funds that we had last year. So for our current 2024 budget that we're operating on right now, we had $1.449 million at our disposal. Next year's budget, we're going to be less than that. We're going to be at there it is. I'm going to be at 1.442 million for next year. Revenue neutral rate stays the same. So, like I said, mill levy is the revenue neutral rate was 15.764 for the township, and then funds supported by the third class city was 1.656 for a total of 17.420, which is a good thing. No taxes raised, but evidently I did get a notice in the mail. Sedgwick County is looking at raising property tax. So. Any questions on the budget?
No.
Can I get a motion to approve the budget?
Make that motion.
Second.
All in favor of the Minnehaha budget for 2025?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Budget is approved.
Chris and Paula, do you have any old business to discuss?
No, but we've got one more piece of new business. His signature, Chris.
Yeah. Let's do some more new business real quick.
Do we have new business then? You do? Okay.
Yeah.
We do. Do I need to read this?
I don't think you need to read it. I think you need to explain that it's the, whatever she calls it.
Representation.
Representation letter, yeah.
So, okay, so when we did our third party audit, our bank did not cooperate with the third party auditor. They did not supply the information that was requested by the third party auditor regarding our funds and how our funds are deposited and what funds we have. So, in order to close our audit, Knutson Monroe has sent us a letter it's called a representation letter that goes in connection with the audit. Basically, this says that they did their responsibilities to the fullest of their ability. The financial statement referred to is fairly presented in conformity with the KMAG and includes all properly classified funds and financial information. They basically are going in and what they did is they made the request, I made the request, Paul made the request. They have to not only provide statements to us, but they have to insure our funds from January to December 31st, and they have to provide us proof of that funding. That was not done. They did not provide proof that they actually insured our funds over that period of time. So we have been given this letter to close out our audit, basically acknowledging that they did the best they could, and that their recommendation to us is to change our banks, take our money to a new bank. So we will be looking into that as part of this letter. But with this representation letter, can I get a motion from the board to approve signature of this letter?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, I'm gonna sign it. Paula, I need you to sign it. Then you're
Okay,
gonna send that back to
I'll send
Vonda?
it to Vonda.
Okay. And that's all we need for the new business.
Any old business you guys would like to discuss?
I'm looking. No, I mean, we still have the KDOT project. We still have Villas 2 working through their stuff. To close out a little bit, there's a piece of old business. The lady in St. Cloud that's on the far east side on the corner by the wall she was upset. She was upset because we quit taking care of it because according to Sedgwick County, there is not a 15-foot easement. It ends at her property line. And she signed an easement agreement several years ago agreeing to grant 15 feet to Minnehaha Township. And she raised quite the fuss with our guys about not cleaning it up. And she threatened attorneys and all that. And I made it very simple to her. I just said, hey, if you have a copy of the letter, give me a copy and we will go back to doing what we were doing. I said, we don't have a copy anywhere. And her son lives in California. He called me. He had a copy of the letter. I had the electronic copy. I emailed it to John and Paul and said, you guys can continue maintaining the 15-foot easement on the wall on her property as we were before. So I think it solved that problem. But it took a few months to get done because we didn't have a copy of that letter on file. And I assume you guys printed it and put it in file now, correct?
I don't have a copy of it.
It's in your email.
I'll look.
Yeah, it's in your email. I sent it with the authorization, but if you don't have it, I can send it again.
Okay.
But that's the only old business I think I've got regarding the St. Cloud stuff. So.
John and Paul, do you guys have anything to discuss?
Now, what about
I
the
don't
trees
think
in
so.
there, Chris?
I'm sorry, what?
What about the trees? Do we take care of the trees in there?
If they're in our easement,
Yeah, that's what
if they're 15 feet or less from the wall,
okay.
otherwise we don't.
All right. No, I don't have anything.
Okay. Well, with that, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Motion?
Second.
Favor?
Aye.
Any questions from the public?
What the
I take that as a no.
We're not normal.
Well, thanks for attending the meeting.